Come with me as we take the ordinary and make it extraordinary.
I got this old armoire and painted it a beautiful red with my signature antiquing. It was absolutely gorgeous and one of my favorite pieces. Unfortunately, it got destroyed when we were transporting it to an event. I kept the drawers and hardware, and here's the transformation from lonely drawer to beautiful coffee table. To cut out the lid, I am measuring a rectangle 33 inches by 14.5 inches. To keep the lid securely on the piece, I am cutting out 1 by 1 furring strips to line the inside of the lid. I'm measuring out the foam for the padded seat. With this project, I'm trying to use all my leftover pieces of foam since this isn't meant to be sat on. For pieces with lots of sitting, I would only use full pieces of foam not stacked together or pieced ones, as they won't last as long and won't be as comfortable. I'm adhering them using strong adhesive spray. I'm adding a layer of cotton batting to help keep the foam together, to give it a nice shape and to help reduce wear on the upholstery fabric. When you're upholstering, you want to start stapling in the center of each side, then move to the opposite center, and so on. You want to make sure the fabric is tight, but not so tight that it creates unsightly bulges on the sides. To make the underside of the lid neat and tidy, I covered a foam core board with fabric that I had left over that matched the fabric lining the drawer. I'm removing the drawer slide and all other obstructions so I can strengthen the bottom with wood and give the legs something sturdy to attach to. I'm using scrap wood, cutting it down and strengthening the center using pocket screws. I'm attaching the boards using wood glue and a pneumatic brad nailer. I'm figuring out where I want the legs to be, then I'll be attaching the face plates. I didn't like how uneven the dovetails were on this drawer, so I'm smoothing them over using Bondo. If you're using Bondo, then make sure you're in a well-ventilated room as it's incredibly smelly. When you go to sand, especially this stuff, make sure you're wearing proper safety equipment such as goggles and a mask. Cleaning well with a degreaser is essential for paint to stick. I am using a product called Crud Cutter. I'm using Slick Stick by Dixie Belle, which is a paint bonder. It will allow the paint to adhere to the particle board and previously painted layer without me having to sand. The main color of this piece is Plaster by Waverly Paint. I'm creating texture by dabbing with my brush rather than brushing. This could also be done using a sponge. I'm not texturing the legs since they already have texture from the wood grain. For the second layer, I'm just brushing on a thin coat to ensure good coverage. I'm applying polyacrylic over the white to ensure when I wipe away the black it will come up. I'm dry brushing a light blue acrylic onto the piece. As the name suggests, you'll need to use a dry brush, get very little paint on the tip, then you need to dab off the excess. Then you'll very lightly brush the paint onto the piece. Once everything is dry brushed, I come in with my black acrylic paint. Get a good amount of paint on the piece and then spray it down with a fine mister. Finally, wipe off the paint, leaving it only in the small cracks and grooves. Make sure to work in small areas. And I'm sure some of you are wondering about the blue we just brushed on, but don't worry, you can still see it peeking through. When doing the flat surfaces, start on the edges and work your way into the center. This gives a nice gradient and gives it a realistically aged look. Once dry, I wanted a little more drama, so I dry brushed in layers white, then blue over the top to lighten it up, give it texture, and bring out those details. Normally I use polyacrylic, but the brush I was using was too wet and smudged a little of the paint, and since I'm too impatient to wait for the brush to dry, I used some leftover spray sealer. If you want a more in-depth tutorial on the antiquing technique, please watch my previous video. If you enjoyed watching this process, please give this video a like and subscribe. If you want to be the first to see my next video, then hit the notification bell. Bye!